Hello and welcome to the PersianPro Podcast. We have with us Dr. Siddiqui and his team from Nagpur, Vasantrao Nayak University. Um, Dr. Siddiqui, we just are at the fag end of the international conference which was held, Impacts of Persian Language and Literature on Indian Culture, for 3 days in Nagpur, jointly organized by the Department of Persian and the Bedel International Foundation. Doctor, we would like to, you to speak a little bit about the conference, and then we will go ahead and ask some other questions.
Hi, Mr. Raza. Hope you are fine.
Yes, yes. Thank you, sir.
Department of Persian organized 3-day international conference on the theme Impacts of Persian Language and Literature on Indian Culture. Actually, Dr. Nikhat and my other colleagues, we are insisting since last 3-4 years. Even Dr. Tamiz Fatma, who for some period, short period, was head of the department and later she retired, told me so many times to organize one conference. It was because in 2005 I had organized one international conference of 3 days in which 42 foreigners came, and in total around 42, 45 delegates were present here. Even Iranian ambassador, Aghay Zargar Yaqubi came here for that valedictory function. So, because my colleagues were, insisting for organizing a conference, therefore, I, decided to organize, and for that, I contacted Bedil International Foundation, which is, headed by Professor Qamar Ghaffar, and incidentally, she is my friend also, though she is senior to me, but she is my friend also. I contacted her, and she agreed for being with me, and we could organize 3 days conference here in collaboration with Bedil Foundation. This was a very interesting conference. We worked very hard for 2 months. Dr. Nikhat, Guldays, Abu Zar, they did, very wholeheartedly, and faced, so many difficulties, and due to hard labor of them, we could succeed. We are very happy personally after, hearing delegates, feedback from delegates and other dignitaries who came here. I was very much satisfied regarding the conference. One dinner was put in Mehdi Bagh, one session was put in, Anjuman Girls Degree College. So it was quite fantastic, Aghaye Muhammad Ali Rabbani came here, Mr. Abul Fazl Ali Khani, Consul General of the Islamic Republic of Iran at Mumbai, came in the valedictory function, and Dibaji, one scholar, from Iran, who spent, around 10 years in Mumbai. She is well versed in Hindi and, Urdu also, was to come here and attend the conference.
Dr. Sayyid Muhammad Dibaji.
Dr. Sayyid Muhammad Dibaji, but due to some technical problem, he could not come. But he sent, paper, and that was read here by Mr. Fala, the person who is conducting, interview. Good. So this conference was very nice, and mind-blowing. And it was, I could organize due to my colleagues, and our Honorable Director, Sadhna Shiledar, she has been always very kind to me, and whenever I went to her and said anything, she accepted, without any question, and she was always with me. And my colleagues and friends also helped me a lot, and therefore this conference could be a great success.
So, could you shed a little light about Persian, its history, its development, its further progress in India, considering the fact that it
You
has
know, if you read scholars, who have written about the beginning and development of Persian language and literature in India, you will find that they write that Persian came in India with the army of Mahmud Ghaznavi, who invaded over India from 1001 to 1018. People say that he invaded 18 times. So, with the army of Mahmud Ghaznavi, Persian came in India, and it was during Mahmud of Ghaznavi that Lahore came in the possession of Ghaznavites, and Lahore became gradually one of the centers of Persian language and literature. And if you go into the history of Persian language and literature of Lahore, you will find Nukti, you will find Hajwari, who wrote Kashaf al-Mahjub, you will find Masood-e-Saad Salman, one of the greatest poet of Persian Qasida, and especially Habsiye. He was for 18 years around in jail, and from jail, from prison, he wrote Qasida, that is called Habsiye. The poetry which was, Qasida which was written in prison. So, they were in Lahore, and when Lahore was under the possession of the Sultans of Ghaznavites. Later, in 1191, Shahabuddin Ghori attacked Delhi. He was defeated that time, but in 1192, he succeeded, and his general was, Qutbuddin Aibak. So, after victory over Delhi in 1192, though Shahabuddin Ghori or Qutbuddin Aibak did not come to Delhi, but Delhi came under the Ghor Sultan, and Lahore was made capital till Shahabuddin Ghori was alive. But in 1206, when Shahabuddin Ghori died, Qutbuddin Aibak, who was just like son, adopted son, he was slave of Shahabuddin Ghori, but Shahabuddin Ghori loved a lot to Qutbuddin Aibak, and he was just like his son, So after the death of Shahabuddin Ghori, Qutbuddin Aibak succeeded over the throne, and he shifted capital from Lahore to Delhi, and for the first time he made the Persian language as court language of his territory, and in this way Persian had in India a very nice beginning. Though Indian people, opposed, but gradually people also started learning. It is said that in the period of Lodi Sultanate, especially during the reign of Sikandar Lodi, 4 persons were called. They were from different 4 castes, and they were asked to learn Persian language. So historians write that one person who belonged to caste group, he told yes, he will learn. And so those people, caste people, learned Persian. And if you go into the history of those people, you will find that they were in the majority in the financial departments, you can say in Diwani. And in Sikandar Lodi for the first time, during the period of Sikandar Lodi, for the first time, we find one person, one poet who wrote in Persian, and he was non-Muslim. Persian from 1206 onwards started in India, and many poets and writers came from outside, you can say from Iran, and they settled here and wrote books and did poetry, Among them, one great poet is Khusro. We are having so many others also, but Khusro is the very famous, But I think till Babur came here, the progress of Persian is not so fast, It was very slowly Persian was progressing. And I think kings of Delhi Sultanate, did not do much for the expansion and progress of Persian, as it was done during the Mughal period, If you study the progress of Persian in comparison of Delhi Sultanate and Mughal period, you will find that in Mughal period, progress and expansion of Persian language was more, because Mughal sultans, Mughal emperors did so many things, adopted so many policies, which gave impetus to the progress and expansion of Persian language. So when Babur came here in 1525 AD, and after victory over Sikandar Ibrahim Lodi, he established his reign here. He himself was, a great writer, He wrote Tozok-e-Babri, which is a very famous book and almost translated in all the languages of world, major languages. And that book is very famous. I've so many times referred that book, And after going through that book, you will come to the end, that Babur was a great scholar. He wrote this book, in Turkish language. Later it was translated into Persian by Abdul Rahim Khan-e-Khana. So Babur himself was a great scholar. Incidentally, Babur died very soon, after 4 years. In 1530 AD, 1530 AD, he died. He had no much time, to do so many things about Persian language and literature. But whatever time he had, and because he himself was a great writer, and he also used to say poetry, Some historians, literary historians have written, So if you study his period, you will find so many poets also were attached to his court, Incidentally, his son Humayun, who succeeded Babur, could not get much time, Humayun had, 3 more brothers, and they were always fighting. So, due to internal politics and skirmishes, you can say, and fight, you can say, Sher Shah, who was a very strong man from Bihar, Rohtas, he defeated Humayun, and Humayun went to Persia. He took shelter there in Qazvin when Shah Tahmasp was ruling over there. And I think after 15 years he came back with an army, and once again he captured, India. He won. But in 1556 he died. Within 1 year he died. So he could not get, much time to do something about Persian language or literature and for the progress of that language, But after Humayun, his son Akbar did a great thing, you know. Akbar's contribution in the progress and expansion of Persian language and literature is immense. Immense. It was during his reign that Raja Todermal requested Akbar to make Persian compulsory for the education of each and everyone. In that, non-Muslims also came. The idea of Raja Todermal was that non-Muslims are behind in every field because they are not having the knowledge of, or they cannot speak in the language which is the language of king, emperor. So Todermal was of the view that non-Muslims are behind in every respect because they are not knowing the language, and because they cannot speak in the language, so they cannot, you know, talk to the high officials of the Mughal. It may be army or officials who were in court, you know, or you can say just like today's ministers, even you can say emperor. So Todermal told Akbar to bring, you know, one farman and make the Persian language compulsory for each and every Indians, you know. It was, I think, in 1585, around 1585 AD, Akbar brought one farman, you know, and made Persian compulsory language. It was during the period of Akbar that Persian was, one post was created, you know, post of historiographer. One post was created as a historiographer, and that person was, you know, the person who hold this post was supposed to write the history of the reign, day-to-day history. So for the first time, Abul Fazl, who is today known, you know, as a great historian, who wrote Akbarnama in Akbari, was appointed for the first time. And this tradition went up to, you know, Aurangzeb, and also later on. So if you will find so many historians during the time of Akbar. Abul Fazl was the court historian, but apart from him, there were Badayuni and many others who wrote history, and they are very important, you know, on the period of Akbar. Apart from this, Akbar created the post of Malakush Shura. He made compulsory Persian for each and every Indian. He created post of historiographer in his court. He created the post of Malakush Shura, chief of the poet. So there was a rush of the poets, you know, to reach up to that post. They fought it a lot, you know. And this way, we see that good poetry, you know, were created. The nice and, you know, the best poetry were created in this rush, you know, in this competition. So it was the great contribution of Akbar. And by doing all these things, he contributed immensely in the progress and expansion of Persian language and literature. After the death of Akbar, you know, in 1605, Jahangir succeeded. Jahangir was also a great scholar. Though Akbar could not have time, you know, I had told you earlier that Humayun was defeated by Sher Shah and he went away to Persia. That time Akbar was very small boy, you know. So he could not attend school and therefore he was illiterate, you know. But he has companions who were great scholars of, you know, in those days world, like Abul Fazl, Birbal, Todermal, Faizi, and so many others. In comparison of Akbar, his son, Jahangir was highly literate person. He has written Tuzuk-e Jahangiri. And the special characteristic of Tuzuk-e Jahangiri is that he did not conceal, anything. Whether it is about Akbar, whether it is about, his son Khusrau. He did not conceal anything. He has written clearly whatever happened, about his son Khusrau, who was chased by Jahangir and killed, Salim was popular as Salim due to Salim Chishti, from his prayer, whose prayer he came in this world. So he has written about his rebel. He has clearly written in his book, why and how Abul Fazl was assassinated. What was the reason behind that? Actually, Salim has hired, one person to assassin Abul Fazl, who was coming from, back from Deccan and going to Delhi. In between, and Salim was at that time in Allahabad, Khusrabad. He hired one person and Abul Fazl was assassinated. And it was because Jahangir was of the view that he will go to Delhi, Agra, and he will do something against me. And my father will go against me, and I will not become successor, etc. The succession will be given to my son Khusrau. So he was afraid, and therefore Abul Fazl was assassinated. All these things he has written in his book. It is rarely found, very rare thing, that a writer is writing all these things, clearly. He is not concealing anything. It seldom happens. But he has written all those things. And this is the sign of greatness and being very loyal, whatever he has written. Very authentic book. He also did not do, create the post office studiographer or Malakushura or etc. All traditions he continued, which his father started, all the traditions he continued.